All right, so Mark is here now. I wanted to remind you guys, if you guys have any questions, be sure to use the hashtag PLT on Twitter, and we'll get to them at the end of the show. Thank God Mark isn't wearing that ugly green shirt. Please give him shit for it from us.
Wait, you mean from the desk?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I'm talking about the desk shirt.
I'm the stylist.
Ooh. Wait, it was her choice?
I just put on what they tell me. It looks good.
I don't know. Me and Scarra were both talking.
Anyways, welcome, guys. This is post-league time with me, Scarra, and MarkZ. Mark, how you doing?
Pretty good. How you?
I'm doing great, dude. Are you ready to jump into games?
I'm ready to get right into it. If
all right. Let's show it off, dude. Hit us off, Josh. What's the first game we're talking about?
Talking about IMT versus P1.
IMT P1.
Okay. My real talk about this game, I fell asleep during this game.
I saw Yuna tweet a picture of you asleep.
No, like straight up, I had to, after the game ended, I streamed and I watched the games while I was streaming in between queue because I was so bored. Like, what ended up happening was, one thing I was impressed about, Dardoch played really well this series.
Yeah.
I thought he was the better performing jungler overall, especially early game, but it was just like, what happened?
Right, I think it's like the team has no coordination. They were like, okay, we got to get Flame on a carry, lethality buff. We're going to take Jace like super early all the time. And like he didn't really do much on Jace. Like he had like a couple flashes of good plays, but he didn't like take over the top lane and like maul the turret and then like, you know, like.
But it's like, I don't know how much I can even put blame on the other team. If you just, at every single game, look top side only, jungle top lane, you'd be like, oh, their team's doing pretty well. Like, in fact, you'd be like, oh, their team's doing great, right? Dardoch first game, oh, he started 4-0-1. Oh, fantastic. How'd the game go? Oh, they lost.
Yeah.
And not even that they just lost. It took like 50 minutes for them to lose. Like it was.
Well, the first game, yeah, was a bit of a drag for sure.
Yeah, and the second game they just got slammed. And like the only good thing I have to say about it is like at least their early game they can get leads, but like Pobuster is just playing like really bad at the moment.
So I heard like a little rumor he was having maybe some mouse issues or something on stage, but then they fixed them for that last series, so it didn't seem to matter at all because he still played pretty bad. And then the bot lane is just like kind of a disaster. Like game two, like the Ziggs into Varus is bad. Like the Ziggs into like Ashe and Jhin is not great, but it's like okay. But into Varus, it's just so bad because he just pokes you through the wave.
Exactly. You can never itemize armor if you're the AD carry in that position because you need all the damage items like on curve.
Yeah.
And so let's just first cover draft. What do you think about Immortals drafts in general or across both games? I personally think Immortals drafts like the most random drafts ever. And it's like, I feels like they're random without much of a team plan. Like,
I'm not sure I agree with that because like this series felt like they came in very clearly like we're going to snowball.
Oh yeah,
like,
we're the first pick Jace.
Yeah, like we're going to play Jace and Flame's going to carry us. Like that felt like their plan, but then it often feels like they come in with a plan and don't like react to like what's happening or like stuff. I don't know.
I guess the biggest offender for me is like I don't understand their support picks.
Their bot lane I
have no idea what's going on. So it's like it would be like okay, this game we're just gonna play Morgana every game, and then it's like well his Morgana's not even bad. Like I think that's probably his best champion.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And then he's just gonna play like
Bard. And there's so many power picks up all the time too. It's like, and the funny thing is like Adrian's not much better. So like that bot lane.
Oh god, Adrian just first rotates Nami every game, and I'm just like, I guess that works, you know, just for P1, like whatever, it's fine. I actually every time I look at their duo, they're just like winning, and like I can't say anything because it's just like okay.
So sometimes they're winning. That level 1.
Okay, wait, that was actually really good by Immortals.
Well, it was really good by Immortals, like being so aggressive, but then like P1 was so stubborn, like they just didn't walk around. They were like, no, we're gonna get back in the lane. We're gonna walk through the thresh, and it's like no, like that was pretty sad. But I think some of that's just synergy issues. Like Adrian has a little bit of a weird pool, which I don't like, but it's not terrible. It's not like Ole.
Like we said last time, it's not exploitable, you know. Whereas I feel like Ole always starts back foot in the lane and needs someone else to bail them out. And a really good example is the second game, right? They picked was it Thresh Ziggs?
Yeah.
It was something like atrocious, and it was just like, or it was Bard Ziggs, one of the two. And
yeah, because the first game was Thresh Jhin.
Yeah, and the second game was Bard, and I was just like, oh my god, like Dardoch had to come bot lane multiple times just to make it even. Like they were behind 20 CS before the junglers even touched the wave.
Right, which is so sad because like Ziggs. Like I actually like that team comp a little bit. Like I understand what they're going for.
Yeah,
like,
just
with the
not
wave
into
clear.
Varus. If it was like Ashe was the pick or like, even Jin, I could see it. But Varus is like the only champion where in a neutral position, you're gonna be the one that gets poked out because his poke is actually just better than yours.
It was Zyra Ziggs?
Oh, Zyra Ziggs.
Was it?
Was it?
I don't know. Either way, they just...
It just felt bad. Like
the fact that they're losing so hard in CS, like, and they had the choice in that draft, if I remember correctly, to take an AD carry before the ban phase came in, the second ban phase came in, and then they got pinched, if I remember correctly. I don't think it was the first round Ashe Jhin bans, and you take the Varus first.
Well, the thing is, like, anytime I look at the Immortals draft, I'm always like, even if they have...
Yeah, it was Bard 6. Get out of here.
Even when they have the idea of let's first pick Jace, which by the way I don't like that idea. I think it's like is the other team going to prioritize Jace that much? And if Jace does get first pick, is your team really like gonna just lose? Like you just can't win without Jace? Maybe that's the plan, you know. But I don't like it. And on top of that, I just feel like they're always on the back foot because they can never win lane bot. Yeah. And so like automatically, I feel bad for Darda because it's like he's playing really well, but like he has to like bail his team out really badly because like when the game starts. In most of his games, his mid and his bot lose lane every game. And so he's the one that has to be like, oh, like a lot of times people talk about jungling as you're filling holes on a sinking ship with not enough tools. So Dark has to go mid, dude, are you okay, dude? We're good. Okay, go bot lane. Oh, are you guys okay? We're good.
So just like my opinion on Dardoch is that like he's super good at getting something to happen. And if you put him on a team that was like good, but like couldn't get stuff done, like a Dignitas maybe, or like
that needs like decisive initiation.
Yeah, they need someone to make stuff happen when it's not just Someday, right? Like or even like old TSM, like before they got Sven and were a little bit better, when it was like the Bjergsen 4 wards, like Dardoch would be so good on a team like that because he just needs superstars, like not superstars, but good carries around him because he will get leads. Sometimes he'll throw the leads, sometimes he'll do something dumb, but there's always going to be action with him.
And to be honest, I see in another world where like, or another dimension where like, this roster is fine because in that dimension, Pobutter plays fine. No, like if Pobutter plays well, they could be winning half their games.
The bot lane still exists in that dimension. I mean, like you need a dimension without that bot lane.
Oh my god. Okay, maybe. Okay, let's move a little bit on from Immortals.
P1, I actually don't have a ton to say. I think
Ryu.
Well, I was gonna say other than Ryu.
Yeah,
Ryu's a beast.
What on earth? He's legit just like I'm watching the games. Wow.
That Cassie ult was like, oh. The one where he got the double spray.
Yeah, I was just like, wait, they lost. And then he hits the ult. I'm like, oh my god, dude, Ryu is like... And it's like he even had to shut me up. He was just like, and remember that time when Scarra last week said he's not good in lane? Let me just solo kill Pobelter after he gets the first blood. I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, he's legit. Inori got out jungled this series one of the few times it happened. And what I like a lot about this series from P1's perspective is they showed that they can win when it's not off the back of Inori.
Yeah, and maybe... But the thing, I don't know, like Ryu
it is Immortals.
Ryu just plays really well, and yeah, it is Immortals. And honestly, I also have to think. Okay, I said this with Josh. I'm wearing this shirt because they need as much help as they can get. So like right now, I mean,
I'm in a Team Liquid shirt, so I'm right there with you. Dude.
I mean, we might be some of the only fans in their respective teams in the entire state. So we gotta stick together. We gotta band together.
Yeah.
And but the one thing I have to say is Arrow was really slept on. I think Arrow is actually so good.
I called him, we did like a little pre-tape segment, and in it I said, I think he's the best AD carry in the league right now.
I think he's top 2 easily.
My only problem, like I said, is that they're in lanes, sometimes they do some jank things where they just lose a trade super hard.
But the thing is, it's really hard for me to just pin it on him. Because even
I don't pin it on him. I'm just saying like synergy issues exist in that lane, whereas like in the smoothie sneaky lane, there is like no synergy issues. So like, that aside, though, I think like straight up individually, he's better than anyone else in the league.
If you're watching how he team fights and just like
it's immaculate.
His skill shot accuracy right now, if you're playing AD, you need to be able to land the Jhin Ws and the Varus Qs very well. Because that's like essentially all of your like the neutral game happens where they stand off and the Varus player has to hit arrows.
If you hit like the carries probably twice in a standoff situation, like the fight's so much easier.
Yeah,
to win.
Or you just win because they have to leave.
Yeah. So you push people off objectives super well. Arrow's great at that. Great team fighting. Like that dude is like the anti-Keith, where like Keith every situation like he's caught out of position. I can't think of an example to like where he was just out of position. Where I was like, what's Arrow doing?
I don't even think of him playing a bad game. Like his worst game is like he gets slammed in lane or he gets like dove out of control.
Yeah, and it's like everyone dies there.
Yes. So I just want to point out, like, I think Arrow is actually a monster. And, like, even in a position where Ryu and Inori are playing bad, there could be potentially a situation where Arrow just carries the game.
Right. I think as long as P1 is not smashed early game, their carries are good enough to take them through team fights.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think that I don't feel bad about putting them second place. Like, I don't know if they're still the best.
Power rankings tomorrow. We got to go through the next game.
Okay.
We got to see them lose to TSM.
Okay. Next game.
Yeah, let's go next series. Oh, do we have to talk about this one? Oh, NVTL. This series, dude. Like, this isn't even, like, painful for, as a TL fan or whatever. This is just, like, a painful series to have watched.
Oh, really? I thought Envy played much better than I thought.
I think TL just did nothing. And, like, you're basically playing against an AFK opponent.
What?
Or an opponent who's actively sabotaging themselves.
You think they sandbagged that series?
No, not intentionally.
They played so bad, you thought they sandbagged.
Like, if you look at the plays TLs went for, like, most of the time they just shot themselves in the foot. Like, most of the plays they went for were just straight up like, oh, we're killing ourselves.
Okay. I'm just saying, like, I saw this entire series, and I don't remember some pieces of it, and I think that's my mind telling me to forget it.
Yeah,
but I do.
Like, you blacked out. This is like, oh god.
What I do remember was that Golden Glue played Ori in that series, and then that's like the part that I don't want to remember. So, like, I will say this: Envy had some clean rotational games. Like, it's rare that even in a series where the team just like flops, like they're sandbagging. They're not really sandbagging.
Yeah.
But in a series where the enemy team isn't playing well, Envy actually closed out pretty well. I was impressed. I saw potential there. I don't think they're that bad.
I don't think they're. I don't know. I'm still a little up in the air on it. So like I think they did the swap that play that game. They did the BF sword like swap top take the turret.
Great.
Yeah,
a lot of teams are doing that. But
people are starting to do it more. The TL did it today as well, but people are starting to do that more and more, which is good. But that first game when they were just like pushing. I think it was the first game. Might have been the second game. No, it was the second game where they were pushing all the turrets down and TL just like never made a stand.
Oh, that was the second game. They literally just took 3 inhib towers, 3 inhibs, and the game was over.
Yeah, and TL was just like, "What's up?" And like that's what I mean when like they're not putting up they didn't put up a fight in some of these games, or like they did early and then they would like die and then they wouldn't know what to do, and like the biggest one was like they had that team fight where like. Golden Glue just like didn't use his Oriole when they were all slammed up against the red wall.
When the fight starts, so me and you most of the times watch these games, and the fight starts and we're just like, this is so good for TL. This is amazing for TL. TL won, and as we say that, they lose the fight, and me and you are just like, wait, how did that even happen? And I had to watch the replay to figure out how did they lose.
He pulled the solo queue double if play where he just gets sniped out by a Zyra, like an ulted Zyra plant, gets dropped down to like 20-30% HP and then gets sniped by Keith and he's just dead. Or not Keith, Apollo.
Yeah, I remember watching it and I was just like, okay, well, it's all right. There's a reason why he didn't play much Ori today, and let's just say that series didn't happen. Envy, the takeaway from this series, Envy played better than expected, I think. We can say that.
I think you definitely say they performed better than expected. There's like little glimmers on the team where like you can see what they're going for and they kind of do it. Mm-hmm. I think like TL, they draft. I have to go back to the drafts a little bit because I think their drafts were really bad. Where like they gave Seraph like a really strong matchup against Lorlo both times, and Seraph played it well. Credit to him. And then there was also just like TL in the draft did the double. 80 carry ban, first pick Varus so that there's no utility carries backed up, and then they took a counter pick in MF, so they're like super prioritizing bot lane to win, and then they lose bot lane. They're like pressuring super hard, they don't back off a wave, they have to burn double flash to a gank as Rainover's grabbing first blood on the top side. Like this is such an obvious play to back off of. So like what happens, let me get into it. Rainover's going to get first blood topside. He has shown already, and TL is still up, contesting the wave a little bit as a massive wave is coming into them. All they need to do there is sit under the turret, play it safe, collect the wave. They don't do that, they lose both their flashes. What they do after is they walk back up, and the Rek'Sai just flash burrows on them, and they get first blood.
That was actually...
And it took first blood away from Rainover. And I was like, you guys don't know how to like just back off and chill for a second. It was insane.
It's like better if they like... didn't try to do anything, than like actively do anything, because like they're losing a lot of the games for their team. Like
that was a huge wave that came into them.
Yeah, I will talk more about their bot lane going into the next series, because like they, like I don't know if you know what I'm about to say for the next series.
I'm not sure
what just happened, but like what happened that third game in bot lane was like
absolute
tragedy.
Third game was like, oh my god.
Anyway, and it's so funny because Josh is a Piglet fanboy. He's his favorite player.
He likes the Kawaii Asian boys.
Every single time he tries to talk up Piglet, he's just like, Piglet, world champion, but best mechanical player in the league. Just like the greatest player. And I'm just like, watching the games, I'm just like, oh yeah, dude, definitely. Absolutely. I can definitely see it. And I'm just like, I can't even blame him for what happened because I actually thought well, let's wait till that series. Anyways, let's move on. Next game.
Yep.
Oh, this one.
Miles, shut up.
Crinkles McGee up there. We're on CLG TSM. I actually like this series.
I didn't mind it either. Okay.
Yeah, I liked watching this series.
My first takeaway is both teams played better than they had the weeks before, and that's.
I think CLG played similar to the C9 series.
Well, but that's great. Like
yeah.
For me, that's way better. So I actually like the fact that they played. Like, the things I want to see as the season progresses is that teams get better over time.
Yeah.
And so both these teams played to the level, if not better.
Right, and I think that's the big thing for CLG, which is so sad, is that like they're not that far up in the rankings for how well they're playing because their strength of schedule is like relatively hard.
Yes.
So like they had to play C9 and like
TSM.
They looked good and they lost, and the next matchup they play is TSM and they look pretty good, but they still lose. But there's like things that are going better for the team. Like game one was a bit of a joke just based off like what happened really early in the GP. Like that game should be over.
Yeah. Okay. CLG does this, and I hate this about CLG, where they'll make a play that you're just like, wow, CLG, fantastic stuff, so good. Darshan blue flash early, Xmithy comes top. It's frozen, so their jungler has to come. Xmithy comes, kills the top line because he has no flash from before. The jungler tries to unfreeze, can't unfreeze. He's down 30 CS. It's just such a free
He had 10 minutes or 10 CS at 5 minutes. It was like so destroyed.
Yeah, it's like at least Tobias Fates has a gold generation item at this point. Like Concert was so far out of the game.
He had D-Blade GP.
Yes,
you're like,
D-Blade Mana Crystal refillable. I was just like, this guy it's just game over. There's no coming back from this because they messed up that bad. And then what happens? Stixxay kills himself bot lane. Then I look mid.
Who he kills himself.
Who he kills himself mid. And I'm just like, oh my god. Like, Darshan played probably like the best early game he's had.
It was his best game this year so far.
Yeah, and then what ends up happening is like, CLG just doesn't want to win. And then it turns into a situation where like they're gonna lose, and then like Bjergsen just like doesn't remember Darshan. Darshan gets a great pick, and they get triple Ocean, get Baron, and just one pushes.
The way that game ended was just like you blinked and it was like what?
Yeah, it's like they got caught one by one. Okay, that's fine. They just lose the next tower. Oh, that's fine. They just lose inhib. Oh, that's fine. They just lose one. Oh, what? They lost the game.
Yeah. That was insane, and like Darshan, to his credit, it wasn't just that like one play where Bjergsen face checked him. They wrapped around and flanked again.
No,
he got another one, and then
really good game.
Yeah, and the bot turret on the push, he had like so many good W's on Maokai to like basically win the game for his team. Is pretty easy.
And my problem starts in the second game. So a lot of people are going to ask us this. Let's just nail this out right here. Did you have problems with the Camille?
Yeah, I have huge problems leaving Camille up, and like so like when FlyQuest did it last week a little bit, but they didn't just leave it up. They also had like a Malzahar and like something else that was like decent into it. Here, all they really have is just Poppy and a Morgana. And like Morgana, if you black shield her ultimate, actually negates it, which is pretty cool. But that never happened. And it just destroyed Darshan. Darshan played it like horribly, and I don't even think Poppy's like that good into Camille.
I thought the Poppy Camille matchup was. I actually thought Darshan played the lane out great up until he killed himself twice.
Right.
It was like ridiculous how he killed himself. How do you kill yourself in that position? I'm going to E into the tower and hope. Let's pray to God he doesn't owe me. Just please. Oh, he did. That's so weird. I died for that. And like the second one was like, what I learned about the series in general is that Darshan is just like a greed lord, and this is
absolutely.
This is coming from someone. This is like one of the major problems with him as a player. He's a good player, but in positions where like it'll be like, okay, we can either get I got a lead, a very very small lead. I can either play with it or I can just double down. I'm gonna double down and go for the.
Never gamble with Darshan is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Like that dude, take him to Vegas.
Yeah, he'll always double down.
You're leaving with no clothes.
It's like ridiculous. It's like, okay, I'm going to keep chasing for this kill downriver oh, I flashed and he got away. Okay, I'm going to keep chasing, though, because maybe I can still get him. Oh, I can't. And, like, it showed itself again in, like, the next game where he played Nautilus, and it's like, and he was chasing the Maokai. He lost 5 to 10 CS chasing this Maokai.
Oh, and then he TP's back.
Yeah, and then he dies. And I'm just like, oh my god. Literally, the game for the third game was just like a complete tragedy. But the second game, I actually thought the Camille wasn't that bad. Like, leaving it up, the idea was like, yeah, Morgana does one, even if they lock her in, she can easily die if she can't move around. That's the biggest thing.
Right, but I mean, like, they basically traded it for Varus Rise, right? Like,
yes.
They leave the Camille up, they try and get 2 power picks. But the thing about Camille is she's so just straight up dumb. Like, you can't shut her down. Like, some carries, you can shut them down, stop them from getting ahead. It's like not that big of a deal. Like Jace's one, where, you know, if you get a little bit of a lead on him, he becomes pretty useless. Like, we saw that happen with Lorlo in a different series, but Camille is not one like that. Like, she will get picks. She has like insane range, and like you just out of the, like, a little too far away.
So of all the OPs, let's say Rengar, Camille, LeBlanc, which of the 3 would you leave up first?
I would leave up. Well, so between Rengar and LeBlanc, it's a little weird because it depends on what other junglers are available. So, like, I would not want to leave Rengar up if I'm not getting Kha'Zix out of it. Otherwise, that's just suicidal to me.
Okay.
Then I would leave LeBlanc up depending on the team, because, like, we've seen FlyQuest doesn't give a shit about LeBlanc. Like, I'll play Zed until I'll play Cassin and until,
I respect
like,
it.
yeah, bring it
so
on.
Good.
I'm high. Let's go.
Game.
Yeah, we'll get into that. So those 2 situations I can see it, but, like, I haven't seen anyone be like, oh yeah, I can deal with Camille. I haven't seen it anywhere, like any league, any position. It's just like
it's just because it gets flexed into the most random position. Like,
yeah, that's how you know it's busted is when it gets played support, mid,
top
lane, and jungle, and it's still fine in all of them. Like, that's when you know the champ is just straight up stupid. So I personally haven't seen enough to be like, yes, leave the Camille up and show me an interesting strategy to stop it.
This is something that I guess was more results oriented, because in the middle of the game, I could see where it could work. You know, I thought Darshan had even CS, but like. Also just got like a huge chunk off on the other person, and then he has pushing the wave under the tower, and they're like kind of approaching top lane to dive, and I'm like, oh, he's got this, and then he kills himself. And then the second thing happens where the wave's pushing into his tower, and then he like gets the chunk, gets the free flash. That's a perfect setup for next play, right? Because he still has flash, and then he chases and kills himself. So it's like I see it.
The thing is, like, I think a lot of the Camille's in this, like, Poppy matchup don't play it as safe as you can. Because whenever I see it, like, if the Camille decides to farm out, the Poppy punish isn't that strong. Like, you just take basic trades. I think it's actually, like, not that bad for Camille.
I think you'll be down like 20 CS or so, and that's like not like
that's like I think that's worst case scenario on Camille. Like, you're down 15, 20 without gank assistance, because, like, I think, you know, you can gank it, but, like.
I think you can't. You no longer live in a world where you can do like I'm just gonna slowly farm and wait for the wave to like crash in, because on those situations are the situations where the other team will die for sure.
Well, you mean if you're playing the Camille?
You'll get dove.
Yeah, but Camille doesn't, like, so I'm saying you can trade with the Poppy. Don't play like a pussy, but, like, you don't need to E onto the wall and try and fucking kill him, because that's when you get W'd or, like, you know, you get messed up. So, like, don't do that. But if you just want to, like, you know, Q him, like, you know, just do some basic trades. Like, it doesn't look that bad ever. I don't know.
The way I see it is a little bit more different than that. I think, like, you have to do like a little bit harder of a trade, because if not, if Poppy ever gets the angle to slam you,
right? But your E gives him the angle. So, like, if you just play off the walls and do, like, even trades in the middle, he can't E and you can't E, and then isn't it just fine?
No, I think Poppy does more damage than you early. It's actually disgusting. Like,
but you have sustain advantage.
That's true.
So that's why I'm not sure. Like, I'd have to see it more, but based off what I've seen, the Poppy in lane doesn't 1v1 the Camille that hard, and, like, maybe gets a small advantage and, like, gets some chunk.
Okay. I just thought that maybe this is the time where I'm results oriented. I saw the game happen, and I thought that COG could have dealt with it, and I wouldn't have said that they lost because of the draft. I just thought they lost because they sucked.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's one of the things where, like, you can go in there and be like, they shouldn't leave the Camille up.
Yes.
But then you look at how they play it, and it's like, well, you're gonna lose if you play that way, no matter, like, what your draft is. Like, that was just an awful game where they made so many mistakes.
Okay. Let's not dwell on this. Let's go into the third game. I think this is the one where we'll have like a decent amount to talk about.
Yeah.
One, every time I see Hui play the Ori into a Azir matchup, this is a positive matchup for Azir. Every Azir will take this matchup.
He played it really well.
He plays it well. He played it well with the Jensen, played it well with the Bjerg.
Yeah.
I'm just like, not even like the laning phase, because that's when Ori has the lead. It's like he is 1 to 2 items in and still trades out Bjerg.
Yeah,
and I'm just impressed, honestly.
I think this is like a game where if Sven didn't control the early game as hard as he did, TSM's in deep shit, because like, I mean, like, nothing was going that well for them, aside for, like, this fact Sven ganks top right away, destroys Darshan off of it because the TP's down, they lose a wave.
And, one thing we didn't talk about was TSM Thresh priority through the roof. What did you think about it?
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, because I think it might be something specific to playing against Afromu, where if Afro's on, like, other things, you're, like, not too sad about it, and going harder Thresh priority versus him might be worth it, but I didn't feel too strongly about it.
I always thought that CLG just won bot lane every game. And
yeah, CLG had the better bot lane, for sure.
Like, literally, like, bot lane always had pressure, and then they just waited for the jungler to come. Oh, and they landed the jungler, and they're dead.
Yeah.
And I was just like, but they're always winning. So, and the third game especially, that literally is really obvious that they did not play against enough Iverns.
No, I think based off the fact that TSM and C9 played it this week, I think it shows that, I mean, obviously those guys swim a lot, and they're one of the only teams who have played Ivern and have picked it up. Whereas in EU, it's really popular. I think it's really underrated in NA. A lot of the junglers in NA don't even think it's good. They think it's exploitable, like if you invade it a lot.
You know exactly what happens when you play, when C9 or TSM plays against, like, or a lot of times they will award their own buff late. So that they'll see the late Ivern invade so that they can react to it while they're still clearing that one side. And it'll happen in EU as well. That's like the way you counter the early Ivern invade. But if you get hit with it, Sven did the greediest opener ever. Usually it's just like blue to the other red. But he did like he did like the whole shebang. He did like his wolves, his blue, enemy red, go way back to his blue, or to his wolves, to his blue, over like here, and then like he just had such a good route, and then Darshan,
and then he stole the second blue away from Hui. So Hui was down a blue. I think he was down the first 2 blues actually that would have been handed off.
Yes, and top lane did that stupid thing where he just
that was done by Darshan, but still exploited well by Sven. Like,
yes,
that's that's not like a straight like I just dove you under your turret and I'm dead. That was like I was a little greedy, and then I got destroyed for it because the other guy punished me.
Yes, and the only reason why that game looks so good is, one, I thought like Smithy recovered really well. There's a point where even though TSM was taking towers, he was farming up, so he was level 11 to Ivern's level 10. And the other thing, Hui played phenomenally that game. I thought he was their best player, and he kept them in the game. He had, I was actually most impressed with like their team fight. They had like this insane initiation.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, how do you feel about the team fight? Because like, Stixxay did a lot of damage on Sivir, but it looks so hard. Like, in the post-game graphic, he did almost as much as Hui. They're, like, pretty similar, but there were a number of times, like, Maokai would just hop on the Sivir and just, like, poop on it.
Okay. So, first team fight was the one where Nahlis flashes in with Ori Ball.
Yeah, they get the 3-man shockwave.
That was a situation where I thought, in both fights, both major fights, one at Baron Pit.
Bjerg gets out with no help.
Yeah. I think both fights, I was sad about Xmithy. So I think when you're playing Kha'Zix in that position, you need to realize he waits near the sidelines, and that's something that Reignover does as well. But the problem is, it's completely different comps. These are like comps where there's 2 DPS. It doesn't matter if the Thresh is still alive, because he can't support a dead carry.
Right.
He needs to kill himself to secure these
right.
carry kills.
You need to go in there, kill the Azir, get a little bit more damage in, and then if you die, and it's like whatever.
Yes, and then that way, like, their Maokai trades your Sivir, but you still have like Ori plus like I just think if you have Ori and everything kind of works out, yeah, it's gonna come out really good for you. But that's not what happened in both the team fights. So the first team fight was like kind of unlucky, like, honestly. And Xmithy played like on the edge, and CLG came out 1 kill ahead.
Yeah.
And if they came out 1 other kill,
I think if they finish Bjerg off, they like start taking more objectives off of it.
Yes. Okay. So kind of unlucky. The Baron fight was the one that I was like, okay, Xmithy. It wasn't Xmithy that I was looking at that fight. Stixxay actually, I think. The fight starts really well for CLG, but Stixxay doesn't attack Maokai. What he does is he skips the Maokai and tries to hit the Thresh.
Yeah, and then that's the one where Maokai roots him and Bjerg kills him. Right?
Yeah, and Bjerg literally just 3 hits him with 3 autos. And it's like, in that position, you already won the team fight because you got the first kill, the first pick. And this is before Bjerg picked up Void. So
right.
At the time, you just trust your front line, and everyone on your team DPS is down to Maokai, who's really far out of position, and you trust that your front line can take it out because they have one less player than you. And Stixxay walked up too far, got picked. And like COG also wins that fight skin of their teeth, and then eventually they get to the point where Maokai's God, and then they got Void.
I think that was the big problem with this game, was actually what happened in the top lane. I think the fact that Maokai became such a stronger tank than CLG, despite the fact that CLG was getting good engages and getting the jump on a lot of these fights, Maokai was just too far ahead to be dealt with, and like he would just like solo people out or set like the rest of his team. So I think that what happened topside was way worse than like anything else.
Yeah. At some point, Hancho was 50 CS up on Darshan. I was just like, oh my god. Hopefully they can deal with him. And you even saw the Sivir itemization. She went 3rd item IE over Last Whisper.
And she got a rapid fire cannon instead of like Shiv or PD to deal with like having to have a little bit extra range.
Yeah, and in that situation, you understand she doesn't want to be attacking Maokai. But I also think like when you pick Azir, this is Azir's perfect comp. He plays against the shortest range AD in the game. So you either play against Sivir or Lucian and you're happy as Azir. And he also plays into a good mid lane matchup. So this is like Bjerg's time to shine.
And I mean, minus a couple 1v1s and like getting hit with some Ori ults a little bit. Yeah, I thought Bjerg actually played pretty well.
Yeah. He absolutely did. And credit to TSM, or credit to CLG. I actually thought they played a lot of the fights well. Like they had decisive initiations and like good team fighting, not great, but it's certainly not as bad as other teams.
It basically came down to the fact that Sven, to me at least, that like Sven got TSM enough of a lead in the early game that like CLG's better engages didn't matter as much.
Yeah, I actually thought Sven played really well this series. Almost the entire series, he played super, super well.
Yep, I'm down with Sven. I like Sven.
All right, let's go to the next game.
Next game.
FlyQuest.
FlyQuest versus Dig.
Oh, okay. I love FlyQuest because, like Lemon says, they don't draft based on priority. They draft based on whatever the hell they feel like. And honestly, it's so refreshing because this is a team where, for me, I like to win with the picks that I like to play. And this is a team that just picks whatever they want to play and wins with it.
So we talked a little bit about in the first couple times we did this that like the big concern with FlyQuest was like, can they get like good drafts consistently? Because it's like, oh, people aren't used to them, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's just like a little bit of luck thing. But it's like, nope, these guys are going to continue to get good drafts because you can never know what they're going to pull out. It's too hard to plan around. They have too many pocket picks. Every single one of them will like play something off meta, and you just kind of have to deal with it because like you don't know what to do. And so
I think the only consistent player who plays no off meta champs is Balls.
Yeah.
And he plays it very well. Like if they do crazy stuff like Assassin, he's the one who covers the Assassin lane with Shen. I think he might have played Shen both games.
Yeah, I think it was Shen twice.
And so he covers like the crazy jungle pick or crazy assassin pick mid lane with Shen. So like even if they do like position it incorrectly and get caught out, he can save them. And I think Balls does like a great job at doing that.
Yeah, and I think the thing that was interesting in game one was like Team Dignitas. I feel like teams always do this. They get sucked into like trying to play FlyQuest game because you don't know what to do against them.
Oh yeah, they left
all the OPs up. And then if you look at this draft, like how many things are first pickable for Team Dignitas? Varus, LeBlanc, Kha'Zix. You're like, what? They got 3 like first pick worthy champions, and then like what did FlyQuest get? Rengar. And you're like, that's it? That was the trade? Like, you know, Dignitas crushed this draft, but it doesn't matter because they, like you said, it doesn't matter about the priority to them. They're going to be better on their champions.
So a lot of people talk up high. I just got to throw this out there. Moon is playing like a madman.
Moon's so good.
This guy is legit. Everyone it's not a one-man show on FlyQuest. It's actually High and Moon set up the early game every single game. If you watch where all the action, just watch the kill participation for players. Those two are almost always in every position that matters. How does High get ahead? It's almost never, oh, he solo kills the other guy by himself. It's like he goes into a position where he gets like the numbers advantage either with his jungler or by himself, and then they just slam. That's how he got his first 2 kills on Zen.
So they have a little bit of priority in the bottom from the MF pick, whatever. They go bottom, they get the double kill, take the turret right away. He gets a solo kill mid later, and then he goes top, and they win that 2v2 where like Shen comes in as well, and like that's the game. Like you got this fed ass Zed popping off, and the rest of the team was winning already.
Yeah, and you're like, you look at Dignitas's comp, and you're just like, what are their options for dealing with Zed? And you just look at Lot every fight. It's so funny.
Miserable.
He's like trying his heart out. He's like flashes away, instantly flashes the Zed. Oh, Zed flashes after him and kills him instantly. It's like, oh well, I guess like it doesn't really matter because hey, like Hai just got too far ahead. And that was the story of the game for the first game. They just cleaned house.
Yeah, I mean, both these games were pretty stompy.
Yeah, the second game was kind of a lot slower.
Well, it was slower, but it wasn't, like, close particularly.
The one thing I have to say is, in the sea of 50-50 Barons, I see this shit every game, every other game. You watch how FlyQuest plays the second game and how they bait Baron. It was, like, super good. They got... great. They denied all vision in the area, sat in the right bush to get the pick. As soon as I think Someday walked up, got the pick out Someday, got the pick out someone else. Hai was there already flanking with his Jace, which he took TP in that game, and he also played Jace mid, which is crazy, by the way. I don't even know how that matchup works out, but TP gave him a split push option late game, which he used effectively, and then they slammed him and they baited Baron perfectly, and then they closed out the game right after.
Well, so talking about a little bit about the Jace pick, I just love the way FlyQuest drafts. Like every time there's something that they do that's tricky but makes a lot of sense and it works out.
Yeah, so, in my mind, that's a good pick into Corki.
Well, yeah, that's like a fine pick on top of the fact that like, so you know that like Someday is a really key part of them. You take the Jace away, they're not sure what they should take now into it. They're like, all right, we'll go later. And then you take the Shen as well. And then you ban the Maokai and you're like, all right, so now like do what you want, but like you're screwed kind of. And even in game one, they banned the tanks as well when Team Dignitas's draft was so assassin heavy that they knew that, you know, they were going to want a tank in the top lane. So rather than ban out his carries despite having a Shen, they banned Nautilus and Maokai because they knew a tank in the top lane was better for the comp that they were playing against. They're so good.
I don't know who's drafting. If it's still Lemon, if it's ThinkCard helping him out, whoever it is drafting for FlyQuest, I look at FlyQuest drafts and I learn stuff. When I watch them draft. Where I look at other people's drafts, I'm just like, I just learned.
Why are you playing Morgana right now?
Or like, I learned you draft badly. Like that's like what I take away from some drafts. Or like I look at C9's draft. You guys draft as meta as possible, and you're great at doing it.
Right.
But FlyQuest is something where I look and it actually like opens my mind. I'm like, oh,
that's why I can't wait for FlyQuest versus C9 because it's like the ultimate like meta. We like do our stuff, and then it's like the ultimate like fuck you guys. We're gonna do what we want.
Yeah, I watched them like MFAD, and it works because they got like a priority support with them, especially the second game that made it really easy.
Yeah. And that's the big thing in the second game was the fact that like Moon got all those ganks off bottom once again on Nidalee, like a different champion. His champ pool, I think, he's the most played jungle champions of anyone. So like he's popping off on everybody, minus like the Kindred a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean he got a situation where like they got the other person to play Elise, and that's like a good Nidalee matchup. And I was just like, did they plan for this? This is great. Like I was actually really impressed with Moon. Moon's playing phenomenally, actually.
Yeah. Overall, FlyQuest is like basically all the concerns that we had are mostly out the window. The only thing is still like their laning is not great, and that's it. They seem totally fine with that because their early game playmaking is so good, and we've seen it so many games now that it's not like can they do this every game.
The only question for me is whether or not they're better than C9 and like the TSM and the P1, and it's like that's how they match up. Like I'm already putting them like top 4, top 5, like. To the end of the split. Right.
I think you can start I mean, we don't do it in our power rankings, but I think it's fair to start extrapolating these guys easily in the top half of the league.
Yeah. No, I think these guys are I can't see them falling. Like other people are playing like well this time. You don't know where they're gonna go, but this is a team where I'm just like they look like they're playing great, and they're very, very smart.
Right, and I think one thing that's worth pointing out is that they're probably kind of meta-proof because they do such weird stuff that you're not like, oh, well, he's really crutching on the fact that he plays a really good, you know, Ryze or Cassiopeia.
So next patch, right, Kha'Zix, Rengar, Camille get nerfed. That's probably everyone's gonna be like, what's the next OP? And probably, you know, in Lemon's head, he's like, oh, dude, I already.
He's probably like, I don't give a shit what the OP is. I'm playing this thing.
Yeah, and he's like Warwick support, perfect.
Yeah. Dignitas on the downward trend, continuing to trend downwards. I'm not surprised they lost to FlyQuest. After the past like 2 weeks, I would have expected them to lose this series. But they didn't lose like the way CLG is losing, where CLG, you're like, all right, they're coming together. I like what I'm seeing. They have a strong opponent that they're playing against, and they're going and they're winning a game. This is like
they're getting mauled.
They're getting mauled, and like Someday can't get onto things that allow him to win the game. And they're getting exploited elsewhere.
Yeah, and like I'm not super impressed with Chaser because he just acts by himself. It's not like Chaser and Keen do stuff.
Right.
Whereas if you're playing against a team with like Shells, like TSM or like FlyQuest, you're gonna look terrible.
And like the only time that they do things together is when it's for someday. So it's not even like Keen's like, hey, I got priority, let's go do something. It's probably someday like, hey, I have a wave, come dive with me, and then they show up. So
yeah, I'm not terribly impressed with Dignitas. They are definitely downward trending in my opinion.
Yep, definitely not looking too good. Moving on to the next series, C9 versus Envy.
Oh,
you got much to say for this?
I want to say that the early game from Envy wasn't awful. At least the second game. I thought
the second game.
They got leads, they got deficits, they got leads again. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, Envy is a team that, for me, is trending upwards a little bit. And maybe that just means that they're not the last place team in the region. But it's something to look forward to when I watch their games.
Right. I think when we came in with the story behind them, Envy was like, these guys are going to get blasted. We don't see their synergy working out, blah, 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 blah. But, like, ᵐᵉᵐ has his games where he can carry. ᵐᵉ looks pretty good generally. Their bot lane is like pretty hit or miss, but sometimes it works out.
This is like a series where it shows what happens if you don't get exploited by Ivern early.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well, C9 also picked Ivern, but what happened with ᵐᵉ? He didn't get exploited early, and he pulled like a 20-30 CS lead and a level advantage onto the carry. So like the Ivern had to work extra hard to get his ass back into the game, and it wasn't nearly as easy as the Sven made it look out to be in the CLG series.
Right. I mean, game one, there's really not that much to say. There's like that huge fight in the bot river. And then it was just like, GG, good game, next game. Game two, like you said, like there was more fighting around the bot lane, but Envy was like coming out ahead. It was like good counter gank or whatever. And then, I mean, just C9, they're so good with Shen. Like, I think they're the best Shen team in the league right now, hands down. It's like not even debatable. And they're going to force plays on you. And if you don't keep holding the Shen down or like getting things done, someone eventually will get caught out and like C9 will punish it.
The only one thing I have to say about C9 is because I have such high expectations for them, right? They're a team that drafts like super solidly, the best team in the league right now, and I can say that really confidently. But Contracts is still in the position where a lot of times when he plays Kha'Zix, I just feel like he goes too hard. Like he's just like his positioning is a little bit suspect. Where I'm just like, how did he die there? What was that? You know, but that's like me being really nitpicky about players.
If you want to continue along that nitpicky path, while that is his problem with Kha'Zix, it's also that he's getting Kha'Zix a lot, and he's doing well on that. But like, and his lead's really good. But like the Ivern, I wasn't super impressed by. And if he's not on like Kha'Zix and Lee and stuff, like how good is he on other things? I'm sure his Rengar's good, but if those get nerfed out of the top tier, is he a player that's affected by it?
At the moment, though, I agree with you. Their Shen is clean, and not only that, Shen covers the weaknesses of your other players.
It's not even like weaknesses; it like enables them to play to their strengths more than like, oh my god, our bot lane gets dove, let's take Shen, so we have double TPs to cover it. It's like our mid laner likes to make plays and be aggressive. Let's cover that in case he ever messes up.
And it opens up draft possibilities as well. And FlyQuest jumps on this as well because it means that they can pick squishy draft things and still not only have a tank to compensate, but also have extra health on the assassins in case like the dive or whatever doesn't go that well. And I think that's like something that you should point out. That Shen is becoming like, I thought Shen wasn't that great of a tank. He's slowly becoming like maybe the best tank in the game alongside Maokai for me right now.
I would put it like, just different. I think Shen, like Maokai is the best standard tank in the game, hands down. Shen is the best like playmaking tank. In the sense where like you can get more TPs off, you can cover people who want to make he's not making the plays, but he's like the best enabler. And the other thing I want to say is that Smoothie I think is the best support in the game, hands down right now.
Yep.
He's number one support. His champ pool is fantastic. He plays the meta stuff, he plays the weird stuff, and then he actually plays it well. Not like I played in lane and it's an annoying counter. It's like I played like his Taric ults are so good. Taric ults are so hard to get in team fights, right?
Yes.
And he's always getting like clutch and vulnerabilities.
He actually showed me how OP Maokai Taric was because
that turret take in the first game where he just like the Maokai just walks up and tanks the turret and then he's ulted and he's just invulnerable while people mow the turret down and people can't walk up because they can't get in W range. Yeah. It's just like how do you hold a turret?
I was just like, wow, this is so OP. I didn't even know what to think about. Me seeing that, I was like, they opened my mind to the idea that this is not only good into mouths, but it's also a legitimate strategy. Like even if they can find out another place to pick out Taric,
and they started doing it, I'd be like, good.
Yeah,
like your Taric is great.
Yeah, that's something where I was really impressed by.
Right. So I don't think there's too much to say. It's like C9's the best team in the league. Envy probably on an upward swing, but it's like, what do you want them to do?
Yeah, this is something where like Envy's best case scenario is they crutch in the playoffs like by luck.
I think there's a handful of teams in that same boat.
Yes.
Like, and Envy is one of them.
Yeah, but their best case scenario is they get into the playoffs in like the 6th position.
Yeah.
And like C9's in a position where if they don't get in top 2, something went wrong.
If they don't get a bye, yeah, they like the meta killed them or something, or I
One
don't
of
know.
their players got seriously injured, and their replacement.
Yeah, I can't even think because like
Their replacement was like you.
Yeah, if you put me in the game.
Maybe they start losing games.
You know what? They're so good, and like Reaper's so good. Maybe I look all right. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
No, it's not happening. Yeah, they're gonna beast out. Last series, TL versus Fox. This series upset me because I wanted to go home. I didn't get too much sleep last night, and then like game 2 happens, and then game 3 starts, and you're like, God, TL just won a game for no reason. They're gonna like lose game 3. This is so dumb.
and then TL wins,
And then you're still mad at Echo Fox because you're like, how'd you guys lose that game?
So the thing that my big takeaway is if Katie can go off, he can pretty much cover for a lot of Echo Fox's problems.
Right.
You know? Both, I think Echo Fox is pretty bad at team fighting, and just like their positioning in like the mid game is really weird. I will say though, they did move to the decisive shot calling, but like I said last week, it's decisive shot calling, but not good shot calling. They decisively do 50-50 Barons, like the third game, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe just keeping it off the map was better for them. But that's like something where I'd be like,
Yeah, that third Baron, and I wouldn't say it lost them the game because they were like kind of stalling a little bit.
But it's not something you want to do.
Yeah, they gave up like what 3 kills in the mid turret for it,
Yeah,
and it's
and
like
this is their second like sub 25-minute Baron in like the last 2 series.
there was like no reason to go for it. Basically, you look at that and it's like you can just do something else. You didn't need to finish that. You could like I don't know.
In terms of positives for Echo Fox, I like that Gate and Acadian are working very well together. You talk a lot about jungle support duos, and this is a duo that like commonly walks in and around the map with each other. I think Gate hands down best Kench in the league because he's like the only Kench player. You don't think so?
Well, I think it's true, but it's I think like the reasons they take it are like horrible. We can get in the draft in a second.
Okay.
I'll finish follow up on that point. We'll keep going. I think Gate's a fine Tom Kench. I have no problem with this Tom Kench.
But you think the reason they take it is bad?
They take it is really bad.
I think his coordination with his team to find picks is like necessary because they don't know how to. The problem is in this meta, you need a crutch on the AD to find picks to start the mid game for you. So problem with Immortals right now. If you look at. I looked at the entire first game. I rewatched the entire first game with Immortals. This is tangenting, okay, a little bit.
It's real hard tangent here, boys.
So what happened was the way they did lane assignments always put Cody's son in like the bottom or top. He was catching sideways. He should be middle with his jungler looking for picks the entire mid game. And then what happens this time? Keith is having a hard time finding the picks for his team. Like a lot of times you'll see him throw Varus ulti, it doesn't hit, you know? Or his team has to compensate by being able to start it for him. You know, they'll do the Kench plus X to start off the fight. And that's not ideal. It's because this is just a meta where like the AD needs to be able and needs to be comfortable in being able to start the fight a lot of times.
Right. So I'm going to flip us over to TL. Game 1 was so bad. I hated it. It's like, I like the idea where it's like, all right, Lorlo plays carries pretty well. Let's put him on a carry.
As soon as I saw the level 1, I was like, this is going to go so badly.
He lost his flash, then they repeat gank it. That goes wrong. Like, it was, I don't know.
I didn't even know what to say. I saw the first thing, and I looked away for a little bit. I looked back, and I was like, he's 0-3.
Yeah. And then, like, they like, try and force around bot lane so hard. Like, Piglet takes up so many resources, and it's so bad. And it's topside a little bit, too, where, like, if you look at the amount of summoners expended by TL when forcing ganks, they actually come out behind. Like, he'll flash taunt with Lorlo, and Reignover's like, what are you doing? And then the other guy just walks away. In bot lane, it's the same thing. That bot lane gank, in level 1, it's like Reignover ganks, and then Matt misses the flay, and then he flash exhaust, and then Piglet misses the Jin W, and Reignover's ghosting, and then all that Echo Fox has to do get out is like flash the Tahm Kench. And it was like, that your ganks are so poorly coordinated.
It speaks volumes to me that they even considered ganking top lane against a level 6 Maokai as, what was it, Olaf plus Jace?
It was Olaf Jace.
I was just like, oh my god.
Well, and the way, it was pretty risky given the fact that Maokai was already winning that lane, which is not supposed to happen. But then the way they played it was so bad too. Like, he goes early, goes on him, and then spends the rest of the time running away as Reignover's still getting in range, so that by the time like Reignover's in range, Jace has de-aggro, and then it's just like...
It was just like a...
And then they got collapsed on, too.
It was like a decision where I was like, you just want to lose the game. Like, this is your time to lose. It's right here. Oh, God.
Yeah, so game 1 was a disaster. Game 2 was basically like... TL was like, we're not going to make mistakes. And Echo Fox was like, shit, I'm on, like, Acadian's like, I'm on Nidalee and I'm not as good on Nidalee or something. And then, like, Acadian can't get anything done early game. And TL decided to not play like baboons that game. So nothing happened aside for that, like, one swap to the top side, which gave TL the advantage. And then TL was just like, we're awful at shot calling, can't end this game.
Oh, yeah. I thought, like, the way that TL ends the game is, like, we're strong enough to force here. So they walk in as a team, and they realize they're playing against a Nivea. And they're
like a poke comp.
Yeah, and the front line, literally, like, he tries. The ᵐᵉ attempts to do stuff, and he just gets, like, chunked, and they have to run away. And I'm just like...
Lorlo played game 2 so well, but, like...
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, yeah. So, like, game 2 was just rough because TL was, like, not decisive and explosive enough to... Because, like, against the Nivea, you need to be, like, explosive. Because her damage is crazy. Her punishment on missed positions are crazy.
Yeah, it's either explosive or you need to have enough poke to compensate.
Right, if you can push her off stuff.
And I think that they're just lucky they had a poke champion mid. Like, they're lucky. I thought Golden Glue...
Golden had so much damage that game.
Let's talk a little bit about Golden Glue. Golden Glue played well in games 2 and 3.
Right.
Legitimately, he was, like, one of, if not the best player on his team. And I thought, compared to all of his other series, this was probably one of his better series.
I think it was a huge part of that is the fact it's quirky.
Yes.
And it makes laning easier, and it makes team fighting easier. If you want to be the best Corki in the world and get good packages and stuff, yeah, he's not there. But a lot of the Corkis in NA don't get great package usage, and it's mostly about, like, the fact that the poke is kind of crazy right now.
Yeah, but they had enough poke to where they can compensate for not being able to understand how to siege Nivea. Like, to siege Nivea, like, once you get Baron, you could just split push, like, multiple lanes.
Yeah, they grouped a lot.
You can't do anything about that as a Nivea. Like, what's your counterplay to, like, doing 1-3-1 as a Navy? Oh no, let's walk up and try to wall them when I'm playing, like, literally the slowest moving character in the game.
And the problem too was, like, the few times that TL did split up is, like, someone would get walled and chunked really hard, or, like, they would get hit with a Varus Q, and then, like, then you can't walk up because you're already chunked, and then you're in death range.
And this was so weird to me because it's like TL won this series because, one, Golden Glue played well, even despite, like, atrocious shot calling, like, all this kind of random stuff, and Piglet played well mid-late game. I thought...
his Ashe in game 3 it was fine, but game 2 his Ashe was really good. He was super aggressive and, like, up in people's shit.
He did flanks on Ashe. I was like, wait, where is he even going with this? And I'm like, I guess it worked out, but that's not ideally what you want to do.
The one where he traded with Keith, I saw it coming a mile away.
I was so mad.
I hated that. I was like, dude, you have map advantage. Recall, reset, go bear, and keep the map advantage. And the fact that he trades 1-for-1 there, it's just like, dude. And you saw it coming because he backs all the way off.
I'm like mad Keith died there because he didn't wait for his front line to check, like, the bushes.
Because he's probably like, why the fuck would Piglet stay there and trade with me? Like, I don't know. That was ridiculous to me. And then game 3 was just really sad. Like, Matt played the laning phase so bad and, like, just basically sacked it. Acadian played great, fucked up Reignover in his own jungle.
Yeah, and then they did the 50-50 Baron, and they couldn't recover from there. I thought the one good thing about TL was, like, Lorlo got chunked super badly bottom try, and then his TP won the game. Straight up.
Yeah, that won at Dragon.
Yes.
Right? But even before that, TL had a couple moves. They had, like, the topside dive where they managed to get a turret, and like, they were still being slightly proactive, but then it was basically like...
Wait, you thought that third game was TL being proactive? That third game, literally, they gave
No. At 12 minutes, they had, like, a dive on the top side where they flipped their team up there.
Oh.
And killed the ᵐᵉ, and, like, they sacked a lot to do it, but, like, they were still looking for plays. It wasn't like Envy, like the series versus Envy where they did nothing.
Okay, that third game was actually blew my mind. They gave away 4 towers in a row. They gave because they did the top lane play, but then what did they lost first tower bot? Okay, that should happen.
Well, yeah, it was going to go down to their bottom lane roll.
They lost second tower. Okay, whatever. That should happen.
Well,
and then
the Anivia split pushing thing, or not Anivia. What was Rise? Yeah, where he was just, like, taking shit on his own. It was like, ugh.
And then, like, they back and then they go top lane and they get 2 towers, and I'm just like, they won. This is like the most I've ever seen a team, like, get early. Like, they got away with murder here. They got 4 towers for 1 or something like that. And they lost. And I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe they can lose from this lead. And a lot of that I feel like comes out to the fact
I was thinking of the wrong game. My bad.
Oh.
I was thinking of the bot dive where they did, like, the laugh spam. You remember?
Was that 2 or 1?
I forget if that was game 1 or 2. I'm all over the place right now.
But that was the game.
No, that was game 1, yeah.
Oh, that was a game where I just looked at and I was just like, they won because the other team doesn't know what they're doing. But I think this series really just pointed out to me, like, Echo Fox a lot of times they struggle not only getting the pick. They have similar problems to Immortals in that their AD carry needs to learn how to initiate well. I think that's a really big problem. And when you look at like C9 play, like Sneaky initiate, it's great. Like it's actually just like so clean.
Sneaky is really clean. All tech is like decent. I actually think FlyQuest is a little different.
They don't FlyQuest doesn't rely on their AD at all. They're just like, you know what? You don't even need to initiate. You follow up. We're gonna take Shen. We're gonna take like Nidalee. We're gonna take Rengar. We're gonna take like Zed, and we'll just initiate. And you're just somewhere here.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they want to do that for some of these teams, but it's really obvious that like even in team fights, like they're starting off the team fights really poorly, and then like Keith.
Well, Keith is just like chunked at the start of every fight. He's either like dead or chunked. Like I don't know how it happens. He's just always dead or chunked. And I mean, the funny thing I said I was gonna get back to it. The fact that in game 2 they see Ashe and they instantly take Tahm Kench, not seeing the support matchup, not mirroring like they take the Tahm Kench because they're like, he's gonna die. Keith is gonna die. We have to take Tahm Kench.
Do you think? I think the reason is because they realize that their initiation isn't that good in the mid game, and so to get picks to get through the mid game, they take Kench because honestly they're really good at snapping the initiation.
I mean, they use the Tahm Kench ult well, but if you ask me if they were doing that because they like to use Tahm Kench ult or because they need to protect Keith, I would put it more on that one. And like you said, he uses it well. Like he saved the front line a couple times.
Yes.
Gate plays Tahm Kench well, but I think it's because not like they were like, oh yeah, we like the way we use Tahm Kench. It's like, dude, this shit saves us so much. I mean, no team honestly thinks that way. Like when you're discussing.
No, I kind of understand though.
No team is like when they're discussing pick ban, they're like, hey guys, we kind of suck dick, so this is a great way to save us.
Okay, then I will agree. They crutch on Kench for the wrong reasons.
Right.
I do think that they compensate their poor like mid game with Kench a lot of times, and I think it works out a lot of times. This is a series where it didn't work out,
but it didn't feel like the Kench's fault.
No, and in the third game it was MarkZ, right? And MarkZ had like an enormous lead. Like it was 3-1-2 or 3-0-2. Acadian just like mauled people, and they just weren't able to find picks.
Yeah, and then there was just that one, the TP flank, and it was just like
it's game over.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
So even the thing is,
so what's interesting to me with this series is like TL is above a bunch of teams who I actually think they're worse than right now. Now that they're 2-4.
Oh,
because there's a lot of 1-4 teams right now.
There's three.
There's Dig, CLG, and
Envy,
and Immortals, right?
I think Immortals might even be 2-3.
I
think it's like 3-3-3-1.
Okay. Either way, like the thing is, like TL did not look great in this win. Like, why'd they win? Because game 2 was a fiesta, and game 3, like Echo Fox just threw really hard. They didn't have a lead basically in any game aside for like game 2, but Echo Fox did nothing that game. Acadian didn't look like himself at all that game, and sure Echo Fox lost, but I thought like it was mostly like Echo Fox losing than TL winning.
I do agree with that, but I want to say the one shining light for TL is that generally I think that Reignover is playing better.
Reignover's picking it up a lot.
Like the last series, he was the only thing that looked even remotely passable as like a competitive player.
I think Golden Blue stepped up a little bit.
No. The first series, the one
against Envy.
Friday.
Yeah, the one against
That
Envy.
was the one where I was like, Reignover is the only person on the team doing anything.
Yeah.
And then like today, I also thought Reignover on Kaiser, it's not bad. It's actually like he's playing well. And I don't think teams can do like this thing where they
keep giving him Kazas for no reason.
Because he's just gonna play well. He's gonna play better and better. And so him as a person, personal improvement wise, great.
His pathing's still really good, by the way. Like game 2 versus the Nidalee, he like kind of messed up Acadian a little bit there too. So like he got his Krugs once in like a really like fuck kind of way.
Oh, I think I remember. Like I saw one game where he was behind a death, like he died early, but it still was like 25.
That was game 3. That was game 3 as well. Which is a little hard to tell just because of the way jungle CS works now. But like even if you kill him in his own jungle, it's like his pathing's still really good. He's still gonna be fine.
Yeah, what worries me though as like a mid lane player is that like at the moment, if you were to rank mid laners like all the way down, all top 10, the 2 North American mid laners are the ones at the bottom, minus high.
Right, you mean Pobelter and Golden Glue.
Yes, and that kind of upsets me because I'm just like, come on guys, get it together.
Yeah, you want to be like that, but I don't know. I've given up. I'm like, bring in the EUs. Where the Danes at? Where the Swedes at? We want Korean mid. Bring them in. We need better mid lanes. Maybe they can teach us.
Maybe Hai should be like opening up a class or something.
He needs to open up a dojo.
Yeah, legitimately, like people just need to learn from the best.
Yeah, for sure. TL, I'm still not like super sold on them. I'm glad they won, you know. But
one of the comments I got for this, especially for the second game, was like. I said something like, "Is TL really going to lose this game?" And someone said, "The real losers are the people who watched," and that's kind of what I felt as well.
Yep.
So I'm not convinced, but they should be happy they got a win.
Right. It's the kind of win where it's like, holy shit, we might be up against Echo Fox in week 9, like battling for the standings. So you need these wins, but it's not like I'm glad about that win.
It's not a feel good win, but you'll take it. You take these all the way.
A win is a win in the books, so you take them. Okay.
I think we're done with everything. Would you like to do the Q&A segment?
Bring in the QA. Where you want to sit, Josh?
For people who don't know, on Saturdays we're gonna do, instead of Power Rankings, which are Sunday, we're gonna be doing a Q&A with me and Mark, and Josh will be running. Okay, Josh will be running the Q&A. So if you'd like to ask us a question on Twitter, go ahead and hashtag PLT, and Josh will be reading out the question. So if your question doesn't get read, it's because Josh hates you.
Yep, pretty much. So all the people who are saying rankings per role, that sounds like a really, really big waste of time for the most part. We can talk about who you guys think are top rated, but I don't think it's really.
Yeah, I'm not
going
to do top through 10.
Yeah, are you guys kidding me? That would be 10. Wait, it'd be 5 lists of 10.
Yeah, we literally have to rank every player in the LCS.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. So all you guys spamming on it, feel bad about it.
Yeah, we're gonna put this in sub mode or something.
We won't.
Okay, we're not gonna do anything with that spam.
All right. First question, hashtag PLT. By the way, I learned that hashtag PLT is also used by a clothing company called Pretty Little Things.
Let's get sponsored, dude. Let's wear some Pretty Little Things.
Well, I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah,
we'll try it.
Josh,
okay.
You got to reach out, get a sponsor for it.
Hashtag PLT. Which LCS team has the least potential, and which one has the most potential?
You go first.
You guys kind of went over
the least potential, like as in like you don't expect them to rise.
Oh yeah, so let's clarify. I don't want to say like potential in terms of player skill. I want to say like in terms of that actual team.
I mean, CLG number 1, right?
I actually think
people still make that joke.
Shut up.
I think CLG will rise. So in terms of like what teams do I expect to fall?
Well, so it's not like this is how I want to answer it. Like not fall, but like you've seen this team a little bit now. Who do you think has like no hope to turn it around and they're gonna stay bottom dwellers?
Oh God.
Or I mean that's how I want it. If you want to do who like player
I
skill,
don't know because I want to say like Immortals and
I want to say Immortals too.
I want to say Immortals has a chance too because. Whoa! I like to think I'm the only Immortals fan left in the country, so for me alone, I would just be like, yeah, you know, maybe they can do it. Like their early game was something.
I'm gonna go with Immortals because you have to pick one. All those teams you can be like, oh yeah, Dignitas can figure it out if someday starts getting stuff in the bot lane, gets a little bit better. Like I think a lot of the teams.
If they get better tremendously, maybe replace some players, then I think they'll do well.
Immortals.
Yes, maybe a lot of players
for least potential.
Yeah, least potential.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're in agreement on Immortals.
Yes, but only if they don't do what I said.
Yeah. Okay.
How dare you wear an Immortal shirt?
Yeah, you're a bad man.
All right, so let's go with the most potential. I don't know.
Most potential
for upward swing? Oh,
this is tough. I feel like.
In terms of like from the beginning of the LCS with no expectations, FlyQuest has the most potential.
Well, but we're talking from week 3.
In terms of like being able to pick up the groove and run up the rankings, maybe TL.
I was thinking TL too.
But it's like, oh, I hate that. Like, no offense. Like, no. I almost hate that as much as I dislike putting Immortals.
I'll get a
like,
puke bucket for you.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
So what I'll say is like CLG is lower than TL in the rankings right now. But I think they already look way better. They already look way better. They're already, like in my mind, like way ahead of them. If we're like a power ranking right now,
CLG, TSM, C9 are going to be top 6 going to playoffs.
Right. Whereas like right now, I'm looking at TL and I'm like, these guys could be 8th place right now, like 8th, 9th place right now.
Man, so much potential in that 8th place spot.
But that's what I'm saying is like the fact that I have them 8th, 9th right now, they could turn around and hit top 5 or like top 6. They could make playoffs. Whereas like. CLG, I already expect to make playoffs. So to me, it's like they're not like there's more potential.
That's the exact same reason I give them.
Yeah, right.
But I still don't even like saying that because it's like I'm watching a team where literally people are trying to convince me they're good. The people have been trying to convince me Team Liquid is good for splits now. Everyone, everyone has been trying to tell me in some way, shape, or form they're the best team. And they use
best team.
No, that they're.
I had them 5th.
No, dude. David Lim promised us they'd be like the best team in the region. Like literally,
that's their actual coach.
Yeah, but literally, like this is the stuff I'll hear. I'll hear everything from Piglet's a world champion. That's the one I hear the most. By the way, I hate that one. They're gonna be like their bot lane is super good. They'll be like, oh, we got Reignover, superstar, Western jungler. Lorlo, you're the Lorlo, right? We're here like going. This is his chances. I've literally heard every possible reason for why Team Liquid is going to win this split, and I'm just like, oh my god, like I feel like I just keep getting lied to.
So you would put Dig
nonstop.
Dig.
I'd put TL, but I won't like it because Dig just looks like they suck.
All right, I kind of agree with that. We're like, yeah.
By the way, this is how you support a team that you're wearing their shirt of. You're wearing a Team Liquid shirt, so that's how you support a team.
I said I gave him the most potential. He gave his team the worst potential.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, Scarra. Learn how to properly do your advertisements. Come on, man. All right, next question.
They pay you?
By Matthew_Wenzel. Where is MarkZ? He's here. Okay, next question at Akira.
Nice one, dude.
Well, okay, so for people who don't know, the show always starts with Mark being late. So this was asked an hour ago, and now he's here. So moving
Fantastic.
on. By at Akira NB, who do you think CLG and Fox should replace? Okay, with Darshan Keith McBee.
They should replace Darshan with Keith. Wait, what was that?
Who should they replace Darshan and Keith McBrief with?
I wouldn't probably.
How would they replace them? Like,
whoa, Darshan or Keith?
I think Darshan at least shouldn't be replaced.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't replace. I agree.
Whoa, you turned it. Oh, so what about Keith?
Yeah, that's why when you said I don't think I was like you're lumping Keith into like the Darshan same area because to me Darshan is greedy and makes misplays, but he also makes the right play a lot. Whereas I feel like Keith just gets fucked up at the start of every team fight, and sometimes loses lane. So if they were like, yo, we gotta change this shit up, I don't know who you get necessarily. There's maybe you look at is Fabi that much worse? Maybe.
What about a prior world champion? Piglet.
Get Piglet to replace Keith. They just swap them. No, that sounds dumb. I don't know who you'd get. I've been watching the Challenger scene, but a lot of them don't look that good. There was definitely. He actually looked decent.
I don't trust Challenger.
I don't trust Challenger scene for shit because
it's just all bad. Okay, so Cody Sun is the #1 Challenger prospect, and now I don't think he looks that good. I think he's bottom 2 or 3 ADs in the league right now, and he honestly hasn't impressed me at all.
Well, so one thing about that is the fact that he did join a team that did not have stuff going on. Cody Sun didn't end up on TSM the way Biofrost did. So people coming from the Challenger scene in that way, they're not it doesn't even feel like a real fair chance. Not that I think Cody's great, but if you put him on
I mean, no one's
you put a good player on a bad team. The good player's not going to look as good.
Yeah, but no one's going to get that TSM chance, right? That's
no.
once in a lifetime.
I don't think you look at that and say, "Oh man, you can't judge a Challenger player until they're on the best team in the league." I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying.
But Immortals at the very beginning of the season looked like they would be a middle of the pack team. They had high variance, but they were in the middle, right?
I thought this was going to happen.
Oh, okay. Well, the Seer MarkZ thought it was happening. I thought it was more they were in the middle, 5-6 area, middle of the pack team. And they could go either direction. I think, and they're a good example of they have infrastructure. For sure they may not be the best, but
right.
They're an average team for a Challenger player to go into. Sure, maybe the team sucks right now. They're way below expectations, but it's not necessarily that I feel Cody is doing fantastic enough to be standing out. Even in bad teams right now, you could be oh, Sarah's playing really well, right? Lyra's playing pretty well. Do you say that about Cody?
Dardoch's playing pretty well.
Yeah, Dardoch's playing like a monster. Yeah, you say that about Cody? You ever come up to me hey, dude, you see Cody make that sick play? It's yeah, he got hit with the arrow.
Yeah.
All right, next question. This is by SC_Tony. What are your thoughts on Echo Fox being denied scrims from all teams? Do you think it's fair? Do they deserve it?
Oh,
this is a really complicated question that basically boils down to exactly what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. So pretty much no one knows what's going on behind the scenes unless you're in the scene, and so everyone jumps to random conclusions. In the end, it's up to the teams to decide who they want to scrim or not. That's it. I think that's my personal take on it. Yeah. But if you want to add something.
No, I mean, that's my personal take on it, too. Like, I personally don't want to comment on it because it's not, like... It's a lot about, like, political stuff.
Yep.
All right.
We're not a political show here. We're a game show.
Yeah.
We're a game analysis show.
Doesn't stand for politics.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
so, okay.
Yeah.
All right. 5_second pose. Are you guys in the MarkZ's apartment or in Scarra's?
We're in mine. And Josh's.
And Josh's apartment.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to keep going down. Okay, so DX Factor 777 with C9 being 5-0. What do you see as their biggest weakness? Also, could they go undefeated?
I don't think they'll go undefeated. They've had too many close games already that I think they'll eventually drop one. Okay. So I think that's pretty much like they're going to finish really good. They might lose 1 or 2 or 3, but that's about it. I think. Then
they'll drop one for sure.
Yeah, they'll drop one. Biggest weakness. I think maybe jungle. But
I think it's going to be jungle mid. If you're gonna brute force your way through someone on the team, it's gonna be through jungle mid. And now their mid lane's playing phenomenally. Like actually, Jensen's playing top 2 for sure with Bjerg, in my opinion.
Yep.
However, Jensen's also never really started that far behind, and like he used to be the person who got camped the hardest in the league. At the moment, that's not really happening anymore. And so I think if you want to go through someone, you go through contracts, and by going through contracts, you go through mid lane.
And I think also by that token, like if you rewatch the games, contracts is around mid so much.
Yes.
Like he's like he'll go to the wave level 4, take no creeps, sit there and freeze it for Jensen. He did that against Immortals in game 2. Just like he will do whatever Jensen needs to get a lead on his own, and then he'll continue playing there and like snowball kind of that way. And I think if Jensen has a bad series, I don't know like if C9 can win with Jensen being behind because he hasn't really been beaten it like hard yet.
The only time I even have seen him lose lane was against Huhi. Of all the people in the
right? It was like the Azir Ori matchup, and it wasn't even like he got destroyed. It was just like wow, he lost.
He
was like down pressure, and then CLG dove him. You know?
Yeah, and so that's the only time where I was like, Jensen didn't play that series well. And for someone who's got like that type of consistency, it's going to be very hard for you to get through. I think you're going to need an aggressive jungler and someone who matches up well against Jensen to get through C9.
All right, so basically you have to attack the jungle and get to their mid. Got it. All right, so we have our first Photoshop request from our Valentine's Day thing, and I just wanted to share you guys with this real quick.
That's disgusting.
What's going on with my hair?
I'm going to show you guys on camera what we're looking at here. Look at this. Look at the happy couple.
Don't we have like 2 weeks?
Ooh. So
good. It's 11 days.
I just wanted to remind everyone who's watching out there to send as many of your best Photoshops.
I like to be exact, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a week and a half, yeah. All right, so next question. Falcons or Patriots? Who wins the Super Bowl?
Patriots,
Let's
baby.
go Falcons! Woo!
You're not even from Atlanta.
Yeah, but I'd hate the Patriots. So.
Why? Because you hate winners?
Yeah.
I do not watch football at all, so I just hope Marvel goes to EVO this year.
Oh my god. Bring back Melee on Sunday! Yeah, right.
They don't deserve it.
What? Oh my god. Get the fuck out of my apartment.
I'm just kidding, dude.
All right, hashtag PLT. Thoughts on Echo in the current meta? I feel like he's looked good so far by @WascarBoy.
I feel like it's only because they're picking him in the situation that you would play Echo. You know? It's like Echo looks good because you're playing him when it's good to play.
So he's a niche pick.
Yeah, he's like a niche pick that you should play against Syndra / like a couple other...
It's Syndra.
Yeah, it's Syndra.
You only pick Syndra Fizz, or Echo Fizz into Syndra. Because
yeah.
Syndra's like got really specific ways that she can't deal with divers that can reach her instantaneously.
Yeah. Right, so like both of them have their Q and E.
And then iframes for her ulti.
Yeah, exactly. You have invulnerability frames for both so that you can dodge her ulti. It's really hard for her to play around it.
Right, so like... Yeah, it looks good when you play it there, and like even then, sometimes it doesn't look that good. Like some people have gotten rolled.
It's a hard skill matchup, which I would not advise unless you're very good at the champion.
Right, because like I think Bjerg lost it and Golden Glue lost it against Syndra's respectively, but that was it. And then Jensen played the Fizz well, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's counter pick.
Exactly.
All right, we'll move on. At Dsungu, will Warwick ever see competitive play,
yes.
and in what role in lane? Well, we've already seen Warwick in competitive play.
Right, so One of the things I heard about Warwick was that it's a counter to Kha'Zix. And so the way that it was explained to me was that when he goes in and jumps on you, you have your E to reduce his initial burst damage. You actually can trade with him fairly well after that initial damage negation. You can lock him down in team fights or something. And then your Q can like hold on to him because you can do the thing where you follow their jumps if you hold the Q down. So if he tries to disengage you after like fucking up, if you do the trade properly, you can stick with him. So this was what someone in EU described to me. So that's what I heard about it.
Well, I talked to Dom talked a little bit about it. He thinks it's good into everything that's not Rengar Kha'Zix, which since both are getting nerfed, you'll definitely start seeing Warwick more later. I also think top lane Warwick is broken, so you'll probably see some of him.
Yeah, I think top lane Warwick's interesting just because it's such like, I don't know if I call it broken, but it seems like one of those like cock blocks that's just like this immovable like object, like fucking annoying sack of shit that engages.
It's not like a Maokai where it's like, okay, well he's just sit there and become untankable and has initiation properties. It's like a champion that can actually bully and kill the other player.
Right, but that's what I mean. It's like, you remember like old Yorick?
Yes.
That's what it like kind of seems like to me. Like not like Maokai sits in lane and farms, but like isn't like fucking you up. Like this thing can fuck you up. Like it's hard to punish. It's just like an annoying thing.
You guys remember Darian and his top lane Warwick? You guys remember that?
Yeah, I'm just saying I would not be surprised to see Warwick top in the coming weeks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. You mentioned this a lot, Scarra. When do you think Link will finally get his time to shine playing on TL, or are they just going to use Golden Glue for the rest of the split? This is asked by @MattSpamKappa.
I don't know. It's down to the coaching staff, right? For me, I'm a big Link fanboy, so I want him to be seen play.
I don't think I should answer this because like I've watched some of their scrims and like have too much behind the scenes knowledge to comment on it fairly. So I'm gonna decline to comment, unfortunately.
Disgusting fanboy. Anyways,
disgusting fanboy, as you're like, bring in Link for no reason. I have no information on this.
No. I think what I've heard is that like Golden Glue is playing really, really well, and so maybe it's not translating fully on stage. We'll see. I just hope at some point they use Link. That's it, and I hope that some point is soon.
All right, so a couple of people have asked about Talon. This guy, Wild Empyrean, has said that Talon is becoming a contested pick in Korean solo queue. Do you think we'll see any Talon or more contested Zed in competitive play?
You'll see him for sure in competitive at some point. At the current state that he's at, he's literally very similar to Zed, but he has a better laning phase than all the current assassins. He's one of the only assassins right now that can match the laning phases of the super OP mid lane mages. And at the very least, he got kind of split even with them. And so I coming from a person who's probably played more Talon than anyone else in Challenger. Damn. Or in North America right now. I think I've played like 50 games of Talon across both accounts. He's a lot better than people give him credit for.
How much do you think the lethality buffs helped him? Like immensely or just like a little bit?
It helped him a little bit. It's just that people are getting noticed. People are noticing this champion more and more because of the lethality buffs. So I think that he's very, very similar to Zen in what he does. Zen is probably more consistent, be able to cut backline and keep fights a little bit better. But Talon has very unique gank paths, and like he's the only one that can find a way to dive bot lane in like the way that he does, which is like over 4 walls.
Right. So you would say he's like a better roamer playmaker than Zed potentially, but
yes, but maybe like worse in terms of team fighting, which is where, a lot of times where like I falter on Zed or on Talon personally. But I think the fact that he lanes really well means a lot for the current meta. He still can't beat a lot of the meta picks because they're just way too good, but he's got an interesting enough laning phase, a good enough laning phase.
It'd be like a good curveball pick at this point.
Yes, no, and I think you'll see him. And at some point, I expect people to also be playing Pantheon top. Because at some point, people would just keep picking, like the fact that there's still like a threat of Fiora, people are still scared of Fiora, I think it's insane. Fiora has both the counter picks that buff, Fiora, Pantheon, and Quinn. And there's like another 1 or 2 counter picks that people don't play. So at some point, people are just going to leave up Fiora and start counterpicking her because she is not as good as people think right now, which I think is pretty insane that she gets banned so much.
I'm going to use this as a segue for our next question @SitchBitch. Which teams do you think would benefit most if the meta shifted away from tanks?
I think potentially CLG, but it depends like where it transitions.
Most?
Yeah, because GGU. Because I think like one thing I'd say is that when the tanks are not meta, the way that CLG got Darshan a lot of favorable matchups in that like season 5 summer championship that they played versus CSM, their draft phase was like very impressive, and they did that a lot throughout the season where like Darshan always had like a janky kind of counter pick, and I think the meta, just with the way the 10-ban system works, is good for that. So I could see a situation where like people are playing a lot more weird shit, there's less stable tanks, and Darshan can like come up with like interesting counter matchups.
I think Envy is a good example. Like I think and Dig. So someday if he's put on carries, like he wants to carry all these games, right? And if there's less tanky objects in the game, he can do more. I think him and potentially ᵐᵉ is like, especially if the mage meta comes back, the way ᵐᵉ described himself to me is he's like, I'm not the split push carry. He's not like the melee bruiser carry.
He's like a playmaker mage.
He's like a mage player. He's the best top lane.
Lissandra Kennen, I think, are like his ideal two picks that he can get on.
He tells me he's like one of the best mage top lane players in like North America. And so if the meta does switch toward that, that's like ᵐᵉ's time to shine right there.
And one of the reasons I'm saying CLG, like I was saying, is not just because like Darshan has the best shit, but I think the way CLG works around Darshan having like weird stuff is better than a lot of the teams who might also benefit. Like you look at Flame and be like, oh, this guy should benefit from being on more carry stuff. But I don't know about that, and I don't even know if Immortals could back him up. Same with Dig on Someday. Like you start giving him weirder stuff.
I think Dig at least can back them up. Immortals has yet to prove that like Flame on like carry means they can win.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah, and CLG, I do agree with you that they can play. I still remember when like they picked like the Yasuo.
Yeah, the Yasuo, Gnar, Maokai, like kind of like.
Yeah, he's like the type of guy who like if you give him that carry pick, CLG has spent enough time together to where they know how to snowball top lane. Where some teams are like kind of iffy on doing it.
Right.
All right. SDeathX11 is asking about the bans. What do you guys think about the bans? And he's saying that he's bored of seeing the same picks and bans, but I think that happens no matter what. We're 3 weeks in. What do you guys think about the 10 bans?
Start watching FlyQuest more.
Yeah,
like,
watch FlyQuest series. Like
straight up, if you're tired of seeing the same picks and bans, FlyQuest will be your bread and butter for the rest of the season.
If you want to watch more, like I guess the only thing that's like really consistent is like the red side bans. But that's every red side meta, where it's like there's 1 to 3 things you absolutely need to ban on red side, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah, and I think next patch will be a lot better because those 3 bans are all getting nerfed, and so you'll see a more diverse draft. Starting even for most teams starting next time. If at the very least, and this is gonna sound so stupid, it may be that one of those 3 falls off and Kha'Zix just replaces it.
Well, yeah, if Kha'Zix doesn't get nerfed with those 3, he's a shoo-in to be a perma red side ban.
He did get nerfed with those 3. But something is telling me that like he still might, and like it might not even be Kha'Zix. Maybe he got nerfed, so like Ivern gets put in because like he's seen like a stupid amount of playing.
Right, I think it's the kind of thing where just generally the way red side works is like you often don't do a ton of OP trades, and like
your OP trades are risks for you.
Yeah,
and so if there are 1 to 2 to 3 OP champs, if you ban all 3 of those, like just think of how you practice with that. It's very easy to practice with that on every red side game, and you know exactly what to expect on every red side, and you just have to think about what are they banning and what am I picking.
And I think on blue side right now, just to say, like, I don't think the bans are like that binary. We've seen 80 carry focus bans where like you first pick Varus and ban Ashen. We've seen the jungle targeted bans towards Reignover.
Pick Kha'Zix.
We've seen like Kha'Zix early picks. We've seen support early picks, especially if you're watching other regions, like getting like an MF ban into Zyra first pick and stuff like that is done like a little bit. So I think it's not as binary as you might think if you're looking at things other than red side and Varus Kha'Zix being taken early.
I think just expect every month for the meta to shift up. So if you can't wait every month, just watch FlyQuest.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
All right. We got a question about Quinn. What do you guys think about Quinn?
So
it's based off of one of my friends who happens to be someone who works at Riot
on the balance team.
He thinks Quinn is like
thinks Quinn is like the most cancerous, evil piece of shit champion ever, and he hopes it dies in the fire.
Wait, but then they already made Azir, so why are they talking?
Yeah. He also hates Azir. So.
Well, I mean, like
all these fucking bird champs.
I think that Quinn is just a champion that can't see play right now because she can't lane well against most stuff. But if she does get a meta where she can lane against things, so I don't know how she lands against Corky, to be honest. Probably really badly because she gets poked down.
Well, I think it's mainly up top. So to abuse like
I have to think about it both ways because it's like, okay, mid lane she can land against certain melee champs, maybe, and then top lane she can land against essentially Fiora is the only matchup she can land against because all the tanks eventually crush her. So if she is meta, then she just like farms the whole map.
Well, yeah. So whenever Quinn becomes like having strong laning phase or something, she literally just like goes bird mode, goes mid, fucks up your mid, goes back top, grabs that wave, goes bottom, goes top, like, and just is
and so I honestly think that like she will never see buffs, but lethality might buff her enough to where she gets it.
You should show it. It's pretty funny. It's too much. It's too much. It's too much.
I'm just gonna shout this out because it's hilarious. Miss Marceline has a post that is really, really funny. Go check it out. It's on Twitter.
Wait, she watches my stream a lot. That's my sub. Holy shit!
You gotta give her, get her in line.
Jesus.
All right, so the people have been asking, but I'm not gonna go and give it all to them because it's dumb. But let's go quickly. Top players in each role.
Oh my god. Okay. Let's start
very, very fast.
All right, I haven't thought about it, so let's just fucking rattle these off, and we'll probably be wrong.
I'm gonna give you guys 5 seconds. All right.
No.
You guys actually gonna try to?
Oh no. Okay. Well, we could just go.
Yeah. Let's just go. Like if
top lane first.
Yeah.
Okay,
top lane.
Go.
Impact.
Hanser.
Okay. Mid.
Wait, I thought
Jungle.
We didn't even get to the third one.
Yeah, I thought it was like 1, 2, 3 or something.
Oh, you guys are gonna go top.
I didn't put Hanser number 1. I put Hanser number 2.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what's the number 3. Let me think real quick. It's not.
Someday.
I mean, he's good, but he's like.
It might be Looper. Looper's looked really good. I think.
Who's the top lane for?
Not Flycross.
No, top lane for
P1. It's not. I wouldn't put Zig third. And then you're looking at Hanser's already the next one, and then
it might be Looper.
It might be Looper, or it might.
It's like a toss-up. I think it's between like two people, 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, I'd say like.
So anyway, those two are the best.
All right, cool. Jungle, let's go.
Acadian Moon and one other person. Sven, Acadian Moon.
Sven, Acadian Moon. I'm alright with that. Yeah.
All right, mid.
I actually don't think Contracts is playing.
No, I wouldn't put Contracts. I think he benefits from having the best team around him.
Okay. Mid lane easy. Soren, Bjerg, and then the third one is toss-up. So.
Soren Bjerg.
Or sorry.
Soren Bjerg. You got Soren Bjergsen. You got
Bjergensen.
Burger
King.
You got Jensen, Bjerg, and then
you got Taco Bell.
And then, it's like a toss-up between Hai, Ryu, and.
So I think that's really interesting what you get out of the top 2 because they all are so different. We're like Hai is
massively different.
Hai is like the playmaking extraordinaire. His team like is able to make a lot of plays, most likely because like it's a storyline that's forced a lot, but it's also just fucking true that he makes so many good calls. And then like Ryu is like a beast in team fights, and like
I would have put the Froggen up there if they didn't lose. If he didn't play like.
My only problem with Froggen is he's like slightly inconsistent. Where like sometimes he feels like a non-factor. Whereas like I wouldn't say I've seen.
He's played a lot better this split than before.
He's playing better, and he hasn't had like outright bad games. I don't think, or not that many. But he's had games where you're like, well.
All right. So anyways, Bjerg, Jensen, and then I would say just toss up. You know, Hai Ryu. Ryu actually plays so well that it's hard for me to say no. Right. And Hai plays so well, and his team literally without him would not function.
Right, and that's why it's so weird.
So those 4.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
All right, let's go. AD carry or bot or marksman, whatever.
Arrow? Sneaky Stixxay.
I'm down. I think Stixxay, even with COG plays loses, Stixxay looks good.
Even that Silver game where it's like you're playing it into this hard ass like Azir and you kind of criticize like a little bit of his target selection. It's like, well, it's fucking.
I think he has moments where he plays bad, but I don't think that you could say that about every single player in the LCS.
Yeah,
Number 1 mid laner Bjergsen literally face checked the bush and lost his team the game.
Yeah,
so,
holy shit.
So like, yeah, Stixxay shouldn't have got solo killed in the first game of the series, but I still think he's legit.
Yeah,
amazing, really good.
Support.
Smoothie. I don't even know.
I need to think a little bit more after that.
It's like so bad if you look at the options.
Yeah, a lot of them are like I don't think they're that great. Like
straight up. Like I was actually kidding before, but Gabe might be in my top half.
God, I don't want to say that, but he might be.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like
because like
let's
break it down a little bit.
Yeah, top 3?
Is Lemon like in top 3? Is Biofrost top 3? Is Adrian top 3? Is like who are you going to after that? You know, like. It is Afro
no.
top 3. Like a lot of these guys look like they have problems.
For people who are talking about Afro right now, he is not playing well. Like,
no, I think Stixxay's carrying him. Like,
if you're watching Afro's games right now, like, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I know he's a great shot caller. Like, I've worked with him. He's a good leader.
Right.
But it's like in his in-game performance, you could say the same thing about ᵐᵉ, right? Where like to a lesser degree, that guy dies like every game.
It's like the kind of thing where if you don't know the behind-the-scenes story about that guy, you wouldn't rate him that high. Yes. And like,
if you literally just put his gameplay and don't say it's Afro and just watch it, and you were asked to rate his gameplay, you'd be like, this guy's whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like a lot of times, you're gonna be like, he just made a big mistake there.
Right. So I think like it's basically Smoothie and then like a handful of like guys who are just kind of like doing all right.
There's all up in the air. You know? And I think that it's just that's why C9's bot lane is so good, because they have this. They're the only one with good synergy and good players, like consistently top performing players in both positions.
Coaches.
Oh, we're doing coaches now.
Yeah, we're doing coaches. There's no good in-game evidence. This is totally like
Reaper.
off the cuff. Reaper.
Yeah.
I think Parth, Reaper, Tony are literally the only three players.
Yeah, actually, me and Scarra
only
talked about this
fuck
earlier.
you, Fly. Are you kidding me? I put Fly number 2.
Fly, who is he currently coaching?
P1. What do you think?
He's good. He's actually
Like think about his record.
No.
Tip, RNG, P1. Like when does this dude look bad? And
dude,
he's all over the place.
I don't know, man. I heard some bad stuff about Tip. So,
well, Tip was like, I mean, that was some Zhao Wei Zhao shit. That was like,
what the?
That was some management.
I will talk to you about this after.
Are we talking about the management stuff or the
everything? I will talk to you about this. When this is down, I will talk to you about.
I would put Fly top 3. I love that.
Okay. I would put those are my 4 for top 4.
Okay.
Man, I don't think I look at them and I'm just like, a lot of people will sleep on Tony because he's.
I love Tony. I think.
And then like I think Parth easily he's had situations where he didn't do too well. I think, but it's like it's hard to argue, in my opinion, with continued success.
Sure.
And maybe it's just because he gets like great players, but I honestly think
I think it's hard to say how much Parth is carried by Bjergsen because they've been tied together their whole careers in that sense, or like in NA mostly. So that was a little hard to differentiate, but you can see like when Parth wasn't as involved in the team, they didn't look as good.
Yes.
And obviously Reggie turned around and helped the team about that time too. But I do think Parth is at least helping TSM. He's not like one of the coaches who's just
in terms of like full turnaround. Reaper is like really high up there. In terms of
I
think without Reaper, C9 is like, what do they look like? I have no idea.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Like to the point where I asked the players about Reaper and they just have nothing but like they just listing off like what he does for us. I'm just like, wow, you guys like this guy does so much for you guys. And then I feel the same way when I talk to like Tony, for instance, where Tony like without Tony, I don't even know how COG with the current iteration.
We had a coaching meeting once when they did the lane swap killing patch. And just like Tony like had all this like numbers and math already done, whereas the most of us were just talking about like experience and like what we predict. And he was like, "This is the exact amount of time it takes to rotate between those with these minions spawning with like the minion wave changes that they were doing." He just like, we were all just like, "Dude, you're fucking weird."
Nerd. Person who's worked with Tony, he is tip top, very good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is going to wrap up our Q&A session for this week. Reminder, tomorrow is when we do our actual power rankings. For all you guys who keep asking about top whatever, top X, top Y, top Z, who cares? But we're doing power rankings tomorrow. You know, according to Parth, you know, one of our best coaches in NA, it's the worst form of content. But there you go. We're doing it tomorrow.
Oh, we just throwing them on their bus right there. All right.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
So anyways, come back tomorrow, guys. We're going to be coming out live right after the LCS ends.
I come back fast tomorrow.
Yeah. So this guy will show up quicker, which means you get less of me. And more of this guy.
Big thumbs up right there.
Big thumbs up.
I'm neutral. But
sorry, no, I'm not gonna say it.
Anyway, so that wraps it up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yep, I'll see you guys tomorrow, right after LCS.
Bye, guys.
Oh, additionally,
Bye
before you close, if you came in late and you want to see the VOD, it'll be on my YouTube, youtube.com/ScarraOfficial tomorrow morning.
Says it right here. Ooh, baby.
Is it really?
Goodbye. Yeah, you put up the post.
Goodbye.
Yeah. You mute the mic yet?
Bye, guys.